Freezer is our long-term tape storage service powered by Versity, replacing our own service, Nearline. It's fast storage such as HDD or SSD, so spinning disks and solid-state storage are very expensive. So projects which have large data storage requirements can end up being very costly, even when most of that data doesn't need to be maintained in a hot state on fast storage. So that is where cold storage comes in, like our service is Freezer, hence the name Freezer. Cold storage services trade in data access speed for affordability, so allowing us to scale up the amount of storage we can provide to projects astronomically, and meaning we can support much larger projects than we normally would be if we only had these expensive fast storage services. In addition to its affordability, tape is also longer lasting and less susceptible to data corruption, since sections of the tape are only read when it's accessed, and so it's essentially safe when it's without power, unlike solid-state storage or other forms of storage, which will eventually degrade without any power. The nature of tape storage also allows us to set up buckets, which can be specific to institutions, allowing physical transfer of data when the scale of data means transferring it through normal methods is not feasible in a reasonable time frame. So we can potentially, pull out the tapes and literally mail them to people if we absolutely need to. Further, Freezer is compatible with the Amazon Web Services Simple Storage Service, or AWS S3 Cloud Protocol, making it compatible with existing tools for those services and convenient for transferring data between services. So while you'll need to move Freezer data onto your hot storage before you can work on it, it is perfect for storing things like data backups for working data, or data and outputs you may want to return to in the future but don't need to work on immediately. Freezer can be broken down into two parts. The first part being what is referred to as a record, also referred to as Glacier, sticking with our code-themed naming system. This is the code state storage itself, and once data is stored here, it is slow to retrieve, hence why it's referred to as Glacier. The second part of Freezer is the bucket, and this is 50 terabytes of faster cache that can be considered as the staging area for the data being transferred onto and off of the record. As a user, you'll access the data through the bucket, and this is currently done with the use of the AWS S3 commands. With regards to eligibility, Freezer eligibility follows the same rules as compute eligibility, meaning that projects at collaborator or subscriber institutions will receive Freezer allocations through their institutional pool for as long as the institution approves, while projects not at such institutions will be eligible for Freezer allocations as long as their project remains funded by a peer-reviewed contestable national grant or contract, or in the case of postgrads, for as long as they are at a New Zealand tertiary institution undertaking their postgraduate degree. If none of those apply, you will be eligible still to purchase a subscription as well. By default, we will grant Freezer allocations for 2 years at a time, rather than the standard 1 year, as is the case with compute allocations, so long as this length does fall within the current eligibility of the project. If you're interested in Freezer, you can request an allocation through the MyNESI website in the same manner that you would request a compute allocation. So let me, jump over here. We'll head over to my.nesi.org.nz and log in with our institutional credentials. There we go. And so we can apply for, or we can select the project that we want to apply for our Freezer. Then we can pick a plus over here, and I'll get rid of this just so it's out of the way. And we can select one of these three options. So if we want to just have a new Freezer allocation for an existing project that doesn't have any Freezer allocation or before, we can select a new Freezer allocation and put in the long-term Freezer storage, the amount that we want, and we can give it a name. By default, it's just going to be called the name of the project, assuming you don't already have a Freezer allocation with that name. But you can name it something, because you can have multiple Freezer allocations, and especially if you're intending to have multiple Freezer allocations, it's worthwhile making meaningful names, because then you can manage your Freezer allocations better to ensure that you're putting data in the right place. And then you select the time period you want. And so this is for just a default Freezer allocation that you have, but you can also, as part of your renewal, so if you're asking for an increase to an existing compute allocation or during the renewal process of your allocation, You can also put in a freezer allocation request and ask for that, and you just fill in the same details, the amount of storage you want, terabytes, and then the name that you want to refer it to. Or you can just ask for only the freezer increase. So if you have a freezer allocation already, you can specify which freezer allocation. If you've got multiple ones, and select the increase. So you can do all three of these methods to request freezer allocations through MyNESI, but whichever one you use is most appropriate to do. So either a new allocation, freezer allocation entirely, in renewing your compute and also freezer allocation at the same time, or just extending an existing freezer allocation. Let's go back to the slideshow. We already covered that. Freezer provisioning. A few important things to note. Once your freezer allocation is approved, you will receive an automated email once it is ready to use, providing further instructions for accessing it. The first time you receive such an email, you'll be prompted to set up a secret key for accessing your freezer buckets. Please do not share this with anyone. Additionally, the email to set up your secret key is only valid for 7 days, so make sure you set it up before then. Don't just leave it hanging out in your unread emails for more than a week. If you do miss the deadline, or if you lose access to your freezer secret key, you'll need to reset it. And the way you do that is to email us at support@nesi.org.nz, and we can reset it for you. You can also check out the status of Freezer along with all the other Reans HPC services at status.nesi.org.nz. So let me put that again, status, oops, status.nesi.org.nz. So you can just scroll down, and where is that? You can see our long-term freezer storage service, and you can see it's currently operational. It's been in operation for a wee while. There were a few little things going on that had happened in the past, and you can see details of past instance. If you scroll down, and you can do all the same for all the other services that we offer through our status page. If you'd like to be emailed whenever there are incidents, you can subscribe either through this page. So if you select subscribe and you put in an email address here, you'll get prompted to select what you want subscriptions for, but you can also do it through the MyNESI website. And if you just go to your account, My Preferences, and on this page, you can manage status updates. So if I select status, it will take me to this page, and I can select what notifications I want. And it's the same as if you had hit subscribe and put in an email address here as well. The first time you use Freezer, you will need to configure your S3 CMD. The easy way to do this is just to follow the instructions on this support page here. So if I open this up. Now, I was going to do a step-by-step of actually doing it myself on the HPC with these instructions, but I've opted not to because if part of the outputs here, it actually prints off your secret key in plain text. And so it's probably not ideal to put in a recording of this or in a live meeting. But fortunately, it's relatively straightforward. So once you have your freezer allocation approved and you've set up your secret key, all you do is you take this command, the configure, and you copy it, and then you paste it into your command line on the high performance computer. And then you'll be prompted to enter your username and your secret key. And then you just need to copy the sections and paste the sections that are blue, and then enter whatever is specified in green. And so here, after you've put in your username and secret key, you then copy and paste the region, which is Auckland 1 or AKL-1. You just paste that, press enter, and then you paste this address, press enter again, and then you leave blank, enter, type yes, or press or paste yes, and enter, and that configures it. And then once you've done that once, you won't need to configure it again. You'll have to also press Y a couple of times down here, and it will present a summary that you've done this correctly. Do ensure when you're copying and pasting things in here that you don't have any leading or trailing spaces. If you have a leading or trailing space when you're copying and pasting these sections here, you can that will cause them to fail. That's a common error. You'll have to reconfigure it again, running through making sure you don't have leading or trailing spaces. Once you've done all this, you'll be ready to start using Freezer. And if you have any trouble configuring it, you can check out our troubleshooting page. So if I just type troubleshooting, uh, there it is. You can check it out, troubleshooting page. The links are all in the QA docs, and they'll probably be posted in the chat as well. And you can see the various potential common errors that people have setting up their freezer. Now let me bring up my command line. Hopefully that's all readable. So once you've configured your freezer, the first commands you'll want to know is how to list the contents of your freezer directory. And so to do that, the first command is s3cmd, then ls, and I will use one of our freezer directories, s3 colon / mapb dash freezer dash 10.551 slash. And it takes a little bit of time because it is a tape service freezer. That's without a bunch of options, but we advise generally running it with the options for R for recursive to show all the devils. Oops, sorry, -R, and then L for list formatting, and then H for make it all human readable. And so we'll type that. Oh, the size is bad here, so let me just make that smaller so it's actually. Oops, why is it not going smaller that way? Control Shift minus. For some reason Control Shift minus doesn't work that way. Oops, here. No, where is? There it is. Control Shift plus makes the text bigger, but Control Shift minus does not. All right, and so I'll change it back to increased size after I've shown you this. This will format it in a more useful way, and so it'll show you the dates at which they'll move to freezer, the size of the files. It will give you a hash key, which is for comparing the file after transfer to make sure that it's correct. It will this column tells you whether it's in standard or Glacier, so standard being the cache or Glacier being on the tape itself, and then also all the different files we have. If you have too many files or buckets, you can also use the fc3cmd du command, and then slash fd dash freezer dash 10.551. Oops, that's a mistake. 3.sd. And this will just give you a printout of the overall for that specified directory. And so that will give you the details of the total storage for that bucket.
Sorry, Anthony, could you increase your screen size a little bit again, please?
Yes. I'll increase it again. It's just that. Oh, yeah. I'll clear that so that's out of the way and then rerun that last command just so it's readable. Yeah, so that's the du command, which will give you the output specifically for the bucket, telling you how much is in there if you want to check out the specific amount available in a bucket or used in a bucket. If you are the owner of a freezer, you can also use the s3cmd la command. Again, it's not very. Let me make it smaller again, just so temporarily, so we can see it all on the screen. And this will show you all of your buckets that you have available. that you're the owner of. Thing again. Um, Now, the next thing you'll need to know is how to actually put something onto Freezer. And so to do that, it is with the put command. So S, all of these commands start with S3 CMD, and they're essentially standard naming that you have for other languages. Bash S3 CMD put -R for recursive. Then I think I've made something. Let's see if it's still here. Test. Uh, and then do I want to just put that in there? Yeah, let's just put the test directory in there. And then S3 colon / mat b -freezer -1055. And I will put it into this directory. And so this will take this directory that I have in my current file path, this test directory and all the files and directories inside of it, and it's going to put it inside of the matp freezer, and it will put it inside of Anthony Shaw, and then test, and then make sure you always include the trailing test if you're making into a directory, otherwise it gets confused and try to put it into a file. So if I run that, now again, make it smaller so you can actually see. Annoying that I have to use that. Why does Control Shift minus not work? So back up to the output. And so we can now see that we've got this directory and the file that we've moved in here. These Anthony Shaw test files and directories have been moved, and we can see that they have been moved into standard rather than Glacier. And so that means that they are currently on the faster cache. So they're available to be moved off from Freezer as well. You can rename things or move things when they're in the cache. So you can do that with, again, S3 CMD, except move now, MB, and then S3 / Anthony.Shaw / test / and let's rename this sum matrix to something else, move it to somewhere else. We're gonna say this. Shaw / test.txt. And so this will let me make it a bit bigger again. I'm going to highlight this just so we can see it differentiated. So this will move the file, this and the sum matrix.r file inside of my direct test directory, inside of my Anthony.Shaw directory, inside of the mat freezer bucket. And then it will move it to, rename it, oops. Now it will rename it or remove it to test.txt, but you can choose different paths and locations if you want as well. By doing so, while it's in the cache, this will do it, and then, oops, no, minus, we can see that it is, where's it gone? Did that run? That command not run, did I make a mistake? Oh, it's not found, so I've made a mistake. Somewhere, some matrix.r do have that. Just copy this, make sure that I rather than try and work out what the mistake was, I'm just going to copy it from there. Test.txt. Let's get it out of the way. And now we can see that it is renamed it to test.txt within, and it still is in the standard in the bucket. You can also sync changes with the S3 CMD sync. And if I sync our test directory with the S3 CMD test, that all right? Yes. And so we can see we like that. We can see it's now resynced it back up to being matching with the local directory, which has still got the sum_matrix.r. And so this will override things. So you do need to be careful with that because it will sync that over. Now, if you want to move a file from your freezer onto your local machine, if it's not in the cache in standard and it's in Glacier on the tape, you first need to move it from Glacier into the cache. And the way you do that is you do it with a restore command, so S3CMD, and then restore. And then let's say, which one of these? What's a small file that's in Glacier? This looks small enough. Whatever this is. I will restore this file. Did that run? No. And it can take some time for that to happen. But once it has restored, it will get moved from Glacier into standard. And then once it's in standard, you'll be able to move it into cache and to take it from the cache to your local machine. You use the git command. I don't believe that one had moved yet. It is still in Glacier and it's being moved. It will take a bit of time because there's a queue-based system and it's a robot that actually moves it from tape onto cache. So we might not see it get moved over, but we have files over here that we can move if we want. And so let's use the git command to move something. So S3CMD get. We can do verbose so we can just see more detail. Verbose, and then let's move this test file. Yes. Oh, parameter file. Oh, because I had forgot to delete it the first time I ran through this test. Let's delete that. Test 3.txt. I'll do that again. So if you have a file already, it won't override it and won't be happy. So now that we don't have a file with the same name, we can use the git command to download the file. And we can see that we have, I don't think did I just touch this file or did it actually have anything in it? I just touched the file. So we can see the file down here, which has been moved. Let's print this out one more time. One final command that you can use is the rm command to remove files, which is just S3CMD -r recursive or without the R for just an individual file. But be very careful with this. You won't get any lovely prompts or anything. Yeah, let's just remove that entire test directory from me. Copy. Once you hit enter, oh, because I didn't actually use the command, I just put it on. Once you hit enter, it's gone and deleted those files. They're gone. No getting back from it. They've been delinked in the tape, so there's nothing that can be done to retrieve them. So if you do use the rm command on your tape, be very, very careful. Let's go back to the slides. Going down to 15. Two major updates for Freezer we're working on right now is first adding a Globus endpoint for Freezer. So this will make transferring large data sets to and from Freezer much easier and faster. And the second thing that we're working on was we're working on getting Freezer mounted via Mahawika, meaning that from a user perspective, Freezer will essentially look like a standard file system, though a very slow file system with directories, with their standard Unix commands allowing you to transfer things to and from those directories. Those are the two major things we're currently working on right now. I think that's everything. Did we have any questions before we get into the wrap up, I guess?